Good day, good day, good day, good day. Welcome again on our next broadcast. I'm very excited with this broadcast that we're doing today because today we're going to be talking about stop losses. To use a stop loss or not to use a stop loss. This is an interesting topic because I know, especially in the trading forums and in our groups, people are always talking, is stop loss good? Is a stop loss not good? Must we use a stop loss? Must we not? So in this broadcast, we're going to be covering advantages of a stop loss, disadvantages of a stop loss, and should you use a stop loss or not. But also, please do not forget to subscribe to this video. If you have any comments or any views, or you want to let us know your views with what we're talking about today, please do so. I will check it out. I will most likely, because I try to respond to all comments, I'll respond, and then we can continue the topic and see where it gets us, because it's very interesting for me to know your view of what you think and also how you're trading, because there's a trading community hub, so we can all benefit from all this experience. I will start by saying, oh, by the way, my name is Mohamud. I go by the name Proqnosiz, and you can also call me Alpha Wolf Forex. I always forget this part, but otherwise, let me just share a little bit of my experience of what happened. I remember, I think it was 2 years back. I'm not sure. I don't remember well, but it's a while back. Because if I may say, when I started trading, when I first started trading, I never used to use. I'll go back to my story. I never used to use stop loss. But initially, when I started, I was using stop loss, but I was not using correctly. So when I was doing strategies and coming up with new strategies, then I stopped using stop loss. And this now, back to my story. Now this happened. I think 2 years back, and I was trading oil. So what I did is, I think I sold oil in this, but everything was perfect. The analysis was perfect. Everything was on point, and I was so confident, with the strategy that I came up with. I'm like, no, I've got this market now. I understand what is going on, and I was really profitable trading oil that time. So I placed a trade, and then because I was confident, now that I think about it, I always laugh at this story. I left the trade, I analyzed, I did everything, that I went for a meeting, and then when I came back, my account was blown, and I couldn't understand. But there's one thing that I missed. I missed that in the same day, I think it was around 1 o'clock, because I tried to check what happened. There was an OPEC meeting that was happening. There was an OPEC meeting that was happening, and in that meeting, it affected and brought so much volatility to the market in a way that my account was blown. So as we're going to cover the advantages and the disadvantages, so I'm going to talk about the advantages of using a stop loss. That is why I'm talking about this story, because the number one advantage of using a stop loss is it minimizes your trading loss. Back to my story. Had I set a stop loss at that time, I wouldn't have blown my account. And a lot of people, they blow their accounts because of they don't use a stop loss. Maybe they are employing a strategy that does not use a stop loss, but the next point I'll cover. But that's what happens, because a stop loss, the advantage of a stop loss is a stop loss minimizes your loss. So you can be, once you don't use a stop loss, you've exposed your whole account. Remember, once you enter a trade and there's no stop loss, your whole account is exposed, because there's something that I learned that day, and because we learn from our losses. There is something that I learned that time and that I still use to this day, because remember, you must always learn from your losses. The nice thing about trading is every loss gives you an advantage for you to learn. So don't take a loss as losing. Take it as an opportunity to learn, because you learn something that you will not repeat the same mistake. But one lesson that changed or improved my trading that time was that I learned that in the market, your analysis, everything can be perfect, but you do not have control over the market. There can be factors that are external that can affect the market that you have no control over. What happened is I had missed the OPEC meeting. I had missed that there's an OPEC meeting happening, the same duration of my trade. My analysis, everything was perfect for my trade to go on profit. That is why I was so positive. I didn't put what you call a negative stop loss. So, but something external happened that affected my trade. So ever since that time, I'm always aware. That is why I always tell, even in the risk management module that we did, we recorded the video. It's available on the channel. You can scroll. I'll try and add I will add the link to the description. That's why I said there is no 100% strategy. I base it on that fact that your strategy can be however good, but that strategy does not control the market. There's always factors that affect them, that can affect the market, that are out of your control. That is why in Forex you cannot have 100% strategy. Not that the strategy is not good, but because of there is a lot of factors that affects the market. I'm not talking about market makers. I'm not talking about a bad broker. I'm talking about in normal, where there's no manipulations. Just that that's just the way it is in trading. It's just the way it is. So even if the time I was using a strategy that even after that I created a strategy that was not using a stop loss, it was advantageous because I would be there. I would be in front of the screen. I would see if things don't work out, and then I would end up closing the trade. But then sometimes you get so overconfident that you just leave the trade running. You trust your analysis so much. Say, I've got a perfect strategy. This is 100%. There is no 100% strategy based on that. So talking about my personal story, it leads us to advantage number one. These are the advantages of using a stop loss. Advantage number one of using a stop loss is a stop loss minimize your trading loss. If I would have used a stop loss, at the time, it would have minimized my trading loss. I wouldn't have lost. I wouldn't have exposed my account, because when you don't set a stop loss, you've exposed your account. Your whole account is exposed. But with a stop loss, I've only exposed a small portion. But talking about that, I want you to understand also that a stop loss is a skill. To use a stop loss is a skill. Take profit, trail stop, stop loss, positive or negative stop loss. It's a skill. It's not a matter of just saying, oh, I'm only risking 3%, I'm going to place it here. No, it's not about that. That is why initially, like I said, when I didn't know, when I still started to trade, I was using a stop loss, but I was using it wrong, because I just believed, oh, 3%, oh, 2%, I just place it anyway, and then even though the trade was going in the direction that I analyzed, I would still incur a loss. And then I said, no, I have to come up with this. Brokers are ripping us off. I have to come up with a strategy. That's why I was not trading with a stop loss. But in my mind, I did not take it that it is me who's not using a stop loss correctly. So you have to use it correctly. It is very important. So a stop loss, advantage number one of using a stop loss is it minimizes your trading loss. Just like I told you my personal story that I experienced. Number two, advantage number two of using a stop loss is a stop loss helps you to eliminate emotions. What I mean by that, remember a trading or entering a trade, or it goes in steps. There's an active step. When you say the trade is active now, there's a very critical moment. That is where your emotions kick in. That is when the market makers, the brokers, they play with your emotions in order for you to close, in order for you to close your profit, to close your profits early, in order for you to close your losses late. You understand what I mean? So when you do your pre-analysis, when you analyze, you doing your setup and you analyze, you must always analyze with the stop loss in mind. Here I'm talking about using a stop loss. These are the advantages. I'm not saying you must always use it. I'm talking about advantages of using a stop loss. So advantage number 2, which is it eliminates emotions. So for you to get that advantage of eliminating emotion is when you are using a stop loss, you have to use it in your analysis. You have to plan your stop loss in your analysis. That's before the trade is active. If you're using a buy stop, buy limit, all that. Even if you're going to go for a market execution, always plan your stop loss. That's if you are going to use a stop loss. Plan your stop loss beforehand. By that you eliminate emotions after the trade, because remember the market moves in a zigzag, so emotions will be at play. So emotions, you might find that maybe you didn't place your stop loss yet, you're looking at the trades going, all of a sudden you find a correction, you think it's a reversal, you place a stop loss in a wrong point, because at that time your stop loss is being placed under duress. You're placing it with emotion, you're placing it under fear. Or you can place it looking at the market, and then continue to move your stop loss, until you incur a bigger loss. So once you place a stop loss before the trade and be disciplined enough, you place it with your analysis. Be disciplined to follow your rules. I talk about that again, I repeat, on the risk management video. Discipline. When you're doing a trade plan, when you're doing your strategies, when you're doing your trading, to be disciplined to follow your rules. Because if you're going to place a stop loss and then you're not going to follow a stop loss, you're going to move it, then it's pointless. So you have to be disciplined to follow the rules that you are using for you to be able to benefit from the guidelines that you have set for yourself. So number 2, it eliminates emotions. That's if you plan it pre-trade, before your trade is active, before your trade activates, that you place you plan your stop loss into your trade, then it eliminates emotions for you not to go on a trade with fear, go on a trade with adrenaline, go on a trade with overconfidence, and then you start doing the wrong things when the trade is active, because the market maker knows how to play with your mind, believe me. Advantage number 3 is no need to monitor your trade. Back to my story again. Like I said, I placed a trade and I did not monitor the trade, but I did not place a stop loss. So hence my account got blown, because I did not monitor my trade, I did not place a stop loss. So it was like, I only put take profit and then I didn't place a stop loss. So but when you do that, you place your stop loss, you place your trail stop. If you're going to use a trail stop, you place your take profit. The nice thing is with the laptop, I know you can use a trail stop when you enter, but I think with the phone, MetaTrader options, I don't know, I'm not sure for MetaTrader 5, but I know MetaTrader 4 for mobile phones, correct me if I'm wrong, MetaTrader 4, I know you cannot do it on the phone. I'm not, but I think there's no trail stop with mobile devices. You can only access it on your computers or desktop or laptop. So yeah, that's the only disadvantage of using a mobile. But you can always use it manually and check, and what you call it, log profit, and then you move it that way. But you can place a stop loss with a mobile, but you cannot use a trail stop. But yeah, what I mean is, there is no need to monitor your trade when you are using stop losses and take profits. You can put whatever you put, your values, analyze, pre-trade, do everything that you do, and then you can go wherever you want to go, and then you come back, you're in profit, or you come back, maybe you're in a minor loss because of you have already placed your risk management. So now let's go to the disadvantages. We covered the 3 advantages of using a stop loss. Number 1, it minimizes your loss. Number 2, it eliminates all your emotions. Number 3, there is no need to monitor your trade. You might have more advantages. Add them on the comment section. Someone might find them very useful. I might even find them useful myself. So if you have more that you want to add, please add them on the comment section so we can check them out. And disadvantages of a stop loss. Just a reminder, when you do that, don't forget to subscribe to the video and hit the bell so that you can get notifications. So disadvantages of a stop loss. Number 1, it needs skill, just like what we covered earlier on, that a stop loss needs skill. It's just not a matter of just placing it. So a disadvantage of a stop loss is you need to have at least trading experience, or you need to have some sort of analyzing skill to be able to employ a stop loss. It's not just a matter of just placing it in the chart anywhere else, because what could happen, or what happens most of the time, especially for new traders, like I said, what used to happen to me also, is you would place it in a place where sometimes we call it that you don't give room for your trade to perform, because of you are trying to follow a guideline or a rule that you had somewhere, use 3%, then you try to, it's not using a stop loss, it's not a one size fit all, meaning you don't take the same formula into the next chart and then the same formula you used in the previous chart you take it into, no, because different charts operate differently. Like a USD CHF is not going to operate like a dollar pair. You understand? It's what I mean is the movements are not the same. You might set a 50 points on I'm making example, don't take it as a rule book. A 50 points on a dollar pair, and then you go place the same 50 on a NES 100. You can't. That's what I mean. So you need skill and trading experience to be able to use a stop loss correctly. There is a disadvantage number one. Disadvantage number two is fluctuation trigger. The market fluctuates. Sometimes the market gets volatile. Sometimes you place a trade, and then after you place a trade, or maybe there's let's say you place an intraday trade during let's say Euro session, and during Euro session, I'm talking about CAT timeline. During Euro session, you find that normally you have Euro news depending on the daylight saving, the time. You have it at 8 o'clock, and then you have maybe GBP news around 10 o'clock, 10, and sometimes again you have it around 11 o'clock. So sometimes placing a trade that time, depending if it's a cross pair of a Euro or GBP, you can have those fluctuations. Not that that's where the market is going, but caused by fundamentals or the news events that are happening at that time. So the disadvantage of having a stop loss is you might actually trigger your stop loss and go on a loss on a trade that was going to be positive. Another point is sometimes you place a trade and then the market becomes volatile because there's many players at that time in the market, and then you find that one thing that you have to understand that other people don't understand. I will explain it sometime. I'm just gonna go brief. If, for example, I'm saying this because I want to explain the next point. If, for example, you place a buy stop, and your buy stop, a buy order, let me say a buy order. If you place a buy order and then you have a stop loss on your buy order, once your stop loss activates, your order turns to a sell. You understand? So what I'm trying to say is, if many people have placed a buy order and the market goes the other direction, and when their orders, the stop losses activates, those buy orders turns into sell orders. That is why you experience spikes, especially during fundamental. So what those spikes, what can happen is it can cause fluctuation in the market. They can also activate your stop loss. I'm explaining this briefly because I'm going on point number 3, disadvantage of using a stop loss, which is called stop loss hunting. Now the point that I explained, that's what helps market makers to be able to fill orders by executing people's stop losses. And when I'm saying they activate your stop loss, I don't necessarily mean they go for your specific stop loss, because some people say, I'm a broker. No, they don't go, and I always hear this thing that the broker can see my stop loss and then he activate. Not actually, it doesn't happen that way. What happens is they know regions, because remember, market makers are very good at analysis and trading, and people who are doing like brokers and all this big market player, institutional buying and all those things, those people are highly experienced traders. So they know the tricks. They know where stop losses are. They know if they will place a trade, where they will place a stop loss. So the best thing is, I don't want to go deep in this, but just briefly, is just to push a market a little bit. If for institutional buying, you have to push the market down before you can buy. You have to push it down for you to fill your orders, because remember, money has to come from somewhere. You understand? So talking about what I was talking about, your if you have a buy and then once your stop loss activate, it becomes a sell, which means it will push the market down. So you don't really need to have so many money in your sell if you're a market maker. You just have to activate stop losses so that you can push the market down and just put a little bit for you to be able to buy low, and then you can make money and fill the orders so that you can pay the big players. I know it might be a bit confusing for new traders, but what you have to remember is the disadvantage. Point number 3 is disadvantage is stop loss hunting. It is real. It happens. You must understand that every time you get money from the market, somebody lost. If you all win, then there won't be money. That is why most people, they run to do brokerages, because they know there's more money there, because money has to come from somewhere. It doesn't come from the sky. If they say there's $6.5 trillion in the market per day, that money comes from somewhere. It doesn't appear. So every time you leave or you make 10,000 profit, understand somebody lost. It can be a normal trader, it can be an institution, a hedge fund, but somebody lost. That is just the nature of the game. That's why you must always remember and always understand that money does not come from anywhere. So chances of losing as a trader, they are high. Whether you're a bank, hedge fund, whatever that you are, investor, the chances of losing in trading are high. That is why risk management is important. Nobody is immune from losing. When you hear a trader tells you that he never loses, something is fishy. Something is very fishy. But everybody loses. You just have to minimize your losses, and you have to ensure that you have smaller losses and bigger wins. That is the art of trading, not gambling. So number 1, we spoke about the disadvantage. Number 1 is you need to have skill to use a stop loss. Disadvantage of using a stop loss. Number 2 is fluctuation triggers, and number 3 is stop loss hunting. And the advantages of using a stop loss is you minimize your trading loss. Number 2 is you eliminate your emotions, and number 3 is there's no need to monitor your trade. So in conclusion, I would say find a strategy that you can be consistent. Consistent not in one day, consistent not in 2 days, consistent not in 3 days, but consistent in a long term time. Because you can make $1 million in a week, but what's the point of making $1 million in a week if you're going to lose $5 million in a month? So trading is all about consistency. We are here to make money, not to lose money. So employ risk management. If your strategy does not have a stop loss, my advice is find a way to minimize loss in your strategy. Do not leave your trade running for long without a stop loss or without some form of a way to prevent, because there's factors that may affect the market that are beyond your control. That is a fact. That one there is no running away from, and that's all I can say. So whether you choose to use a stop loss, whether you choose not to use a stop loss, it's entirely up to you. But you can still remain profitable. You can still remain profitable trading Forex without using a stop loss. That's if you are monitoring your trades. But like I told you my story in the beginning of this broadcast, that I did not monitor my trade and then I blew my account, which means I lost all my winnings for that term. You understand? Though before that thing happened, I was very profitable trading without a stop loss, because I found a strategy and a way to do it. And also there are strategies that does not really allow stop losses, but they need you to be in front of the charts. But the disadvantage of those strategies is you have to also be mentally good, mentally and psychologically fit to be able to be there, because the market maker and the market will play with your emotions. So you have to keep your emotions in check. So that brings us to the end of our recording. Please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Do not forget to like. Do not forget to hit the bell so you can get the notification when we do another broadcast. And please do not forget to leave your comment and let us know, add points. I know there's many advantages of using a stop loss, and there's many disadvantages of using a stop loss that I did not mention for the sake of the length of this broadcast, or maybe I've never encountered them, because most of this we did through research and through our personal experience, and also talking with traders that I communicate with, and then I got their experiences, and then we discuss these things. So please add yours. It may benefit the next person, because there is $6.2 or more trillion in the market every day, so it is not meant to be used by one person. It is for all of us. So let us help one another, help the next person, and I hope that this broadcast helped you. If you have any questions, again, ask on the comment section. And one last thing before I forget, we're gonna play something just after this recording, but just so I can say it, we have a Telegram account, and the Telegram account, it is free. We have setups, we have signals, and we have educational videos like this one on that. It's free to join. The link is going to be in the description. Click and join, and let us grow together, and please follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and the links for that will also be in the description, or they are right here on the screen. I love you very much. It's always great making this material so that we can interact, so that we can grow together, so that we can be profitable together. Like again I said, 6.2 or 3 trillion is a lot of money. It cannot be for one person. So let us continue. You also can do the same video. You also can touch and reach and change somebody's life out there, and God will be happy with you. My name is Alpha Wolf Forex. I go also by the name Proqnosiz. I also go by the name Mohomuzi. I am out.